Everyone on our team carries the culture, the vision, and the heart of our church. So as we're building teams, as we are putting things together, everyone on our team carries the culture, the vision, and the heart. Okay, so we have to treat people that way. We're not just doing tasks. We're not just shaking hands. We're not just seating people. We're not just sweeping floors. Every person on our team, I think that what I want to get away from, and I might have to break free of this. I want to get away from staff and GAs and interns and volunteers, and I want to get away from that. I want to get to a place where it's just, this is one team. One heart, one vision, one culture, and everyone on the team, whether you're a volunteer or you're a founding senior pastor, that we're all in the same team. We're all in the same boat. I may have gotten into this boat right here, and we're moving on with God, and then Tara and Chano get on here, and we're moving on with God, and then Katie gets on right here, and we're moving on with God. When you get to wherever we are, we're all in the same boat, and that's how we have to look at this. I'm going to give you 5 or 6, I think, key points that are going to help us, especially in this time. And this isn't stuff, I don't want you just to ponder this. I don't want you to consider this. I'm telling you, this is marching orders, okay? Can you guys understand the difference between thinking about something and pondering something and then marching orders? The marching orders, number one of our primary roles is keeping the team focused on who we are and where we're going. See, I think that we can assume people know who we are. I think people can assume to know where we're going. But I'll tell you, there are half a dozen things in the services yesterday that I can point to, and I can say, people don't really know who we are. They're not sure where we're going, just by decisions that were made and things that were done. Okay, so a primary role that we have is just keeping the team, and I use the word focused, okay, because I think that's clear. I don't think that it's something that, they know that. No, they have to focus on it, because I'll tell you why. And every day we're tested. Every day we're tested on who we are and where we're going. Number 2, I need people around me that have different gifts and different perspectives than I have. I don't like it, but I need it. And we need that on our teams. And I think we have to be careful. I tell you, nobody likes to know it all. Paul, who wrote 2/3 of the New Testament, said, I know in part, therefore I preach in part. Did you guys know he said that? He wrote that. I know in part, therefore I preach in part. So we need people around us that have different giftings, different perspectives. And again, it's not something I like, but it's something I need. Number 3, a unified team can accomplish far more than a talented individual. And I think a lot of times in church, I see churches all over, churches that we help. You may not even know we help them, and we help them. But they cater more to the talented individual than to the team. I am a team guy. Yes, I want talented people in all around our team, but man, I tell you what, us being unified is much bigger. And let me tell you how the devil's gonna mess with us. The devil's gonna give us thoughts like, why do we do that? Or why did he get to do that? Or why is she in that office? Or why can't I be in that meeting? Listen, the bottom line is that what that does is that erodes the unifying factor that we're a team. If there are people here that aren't winning, none of us are winning. Number 4, the more people I involve, the stronger our systems have to be. And I think that we hit our heads a lot of times not on not having enough personnel, I think we hit our heads on the strength of our systems. We have systems. We have good systems, but are they all strong? Number 5, the less time, and we have to have meetings, but the less time I spend in meetings, the more time I can spend fulfilling our mission. You know, and I can go old school. Man, if we go to great lengths to invite people here for Easter, but what if we just closed the office the week of Easter and everybody went out and just invited personally? Would that be as or more effective than what we're doing? I mean, the bottom line is this. I see a lot of meetings around here. And I want to see more time us fulfilling our mission. And then finally, the 6th point, the less we do, the more churches we can help. And this might be a paradigm shift for some of you guys. When we make decisions about our church, we have to keep in mind that we're making decisions on how we help other churches. And we help people get strong. So people have to be strong in their vocation. They have to be strong in their education. They have to be strong in their marriage. They have to be strong with their children. They have to be strong in their home. We help people get strong. And in order to do this, and this is what I think we could be a lot better at. And again, these are marching orders. We have to develop a plan, okay? And really, it has to have action steps. And then we structure around the things that produce growth, our growth engines. And I'm telling you, that's all we need to do. As soon as we narrow our focus to that strategy, I think all we have is momentum. And I think we have great momentum, but I do think we spend a lot of time on things really that don't amount to much. Don't add up to much. You know, we were just in Houston, and Joel Osteen said, you know, if we've got a program in our church that affects 40 people and we have a staff person that's over that program, what's really hard about it is we'll need 1,000 staff people because there's 40,000 people that go through that church every week. So you can't have 1,000 staff people for church like that. Sure, for television and other things, but the bottom line is this. If we've got things that are helping a dozen people and it requires a staff meeting, we really have to take a hard look at it. But I'll tell you, we have to build our team. We have to find help, and it's a Jethro principle with not from Beverly Hillbillies, but with Moses, is that he said, look, there's too much for you. This load's too heavy. He said, find leaders of 10s, 50s, 100s, and 1000s. And really, honestly, we have to be careful about having a team that's full of people that are leaders of 10s. I mean, we really do. We have to find, because leadership is such it's such a predominant need in a church like this. But man, we can't just settle for leaders of 10s. We've got leaders of 100s and leaders of 1000s that are in our services and in our congregation of people that aren't even a part of our team. And we need to pray those people in. But I'll tell you what, our systems have to be strong enough for it. See, and I think that's the real issue that we have is we get in the way, we do it, and you know we've smoothed it down, and it's not abrasive for us, and it's easy for us to manage. And let me just tell you, that's a death knell to growth. We can't just sit in our offices. I personally want to take all the chairs out of the offices. I want to maybe give you a stool, maybe with a nail sticking up on it, for you to sit on once in a while. But if you're comfortable in your office, you're not fulfilling the mission. Man, we've got to build a strong team. And I'll tell you, the things that I value are tempo and hustle and hard charging. That's what I value. Because I tell you, if we have that tempo then let me tell you, we can take a shot. You know, if we are active and we're mobile and we're elevating, it's going to be hard for the devil to get out in front of us. But if we're not, man, we become an easy mark for him. He gets out in front of us and impedes our progress. Man, that's the last thing I need is my progress and your progress being impeded. And I'll tell you, one of the last few points I want to make here, I believe God's in a promoting tone in this church. I believe that there's promotion that for people. But listen, and you have to listen to the key words, the trigger words here. Man, if you're hanging out, if you're sitting in an office and doing your work, I don't get it. And I understand we need to have all the line items in place, and we need to have all the POs that are drawn up, and we need to have all the accounting done, and that requires being in an office and sitting. But I'll tell you, there are very few places like that. Very few. I mean, I'm telling you, the number one thing that we do is we build this team. That's the number one thing. And it's not just numbers. It's not just quantity. We constantly have to be developing the quality. What is the fruit of your position on this team? Your position in this church. What's the fruit of it? And I think that's what we evaluate. We evaluate it regularly. And I think we can do 50 evaluations a year. You get a couple weeks off a year, and you work 50 of those weeks, and you evaluate every week. What's the fruit? And, you know, it's interesting because we're putting in glass garage doors in the North Sanctuary, and we're expanding the lobby, and the fella that's ordering those doors and putting them in, the contractor, he said, yeah, they said they'd be in by the Tuesday or Wednesday before Kansas City. Excuse me, before Easter. And I said, oh, that's great. That the Tuesday or Wednesday, can you get them in? He said, yeah, I can get them in by Thursday then. And then he said this. He said, and if they're not in, I'll just have to hook up a trailer and drive up to Kansas City and pick them up. And he laughed. And I said, whoa, that's a great plan. And he looked at me kind of funny, and I said, my expectation is that if they are not here the Wednesday before Easter, that you're on the road going to pick them up in Kansas City. Is that clear? And he kind of looked at me funny like, are you my boss? Because I am his boss. And we've got to hold people. But the bottom line with this is that, man, I'm not that guy that says, yeah, it's not that big a deal if it's not done by Easter. No, it's a huge deal. We need to show, and write this down, we need to show our church in progress every time people come in here. If the stage is the same and the room is the same and the preacher's the same and the singers and players are the same and everything's the same, I'll just tell you, it doesn't show progress. And in order for this to happen, we've got to be hustling. It hit me last night after the prayer meeting when interns started coming in here and I remembered that they're the ones that set up the sanctuary, set it up for Wednesday night. And I thought, why aren't we teaching these guys to build teams? Because let me just tell you, if we're teaching them, Chana, if we're teaching them to be doers and to fulfill tasks, I don't think it's worth being in the program. But if we're teaching people how to lead, and let me tell you, there's not a magical formula about leadership. Let me just tell you, there's two key components. Number one, we just have to gather and connect people. And number two, we've just got to lead them in where they're going. And I'll tell you, there are so many people in this church, especially men, that are having a hard time connecting because they don't know where they fit. And you know why? Because we're not texting them or calling them and saying, hey, man, we're going to have a pizza up here after prayer, and we're going to set the chairs up and then eat some pizza and watch the ball game. See, those are the kind of things that are going to really, truly help people. Those are the kind of things that are going to show we're going to give a value to people. You know, if we're not including people and we're not building teams of people, we're not valuing people. If we're not contacting people, we're not valuing people. And let me tell you, people need to be valued, because if they're valued, they'll be validated. If people leave our church, it's because they've lost their validation. The three things as a father, the three things as a pastor that I know God's called me to do here is to validate, to provide, and to protect. And what do? Man, we validate the gifting and call that's on people's lives. We value them. Man, we provide. What do we provide? We provide opportunity. See, so now I look at it, it's like, what opportunity are we really providing? What opportunity are you providing for people that are around your life? We have to provide opportunity. And then protecting people, let me just tell you, a little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of hands, that the poverty comes in like a thief is what the word says. The word says a man doesn't work, the man doesn't eat. Man, if people aren't serving and stewarding God's house, then what's the point? Are they just attending church? And let me tell you, it's all about the concentric circles. What we're doing is we have to magnetize the core so it pulls people into the core. Because we let people stay in the crowd. You know, and there's little things. There's a family that's brought their toddler up to the second, third, or fourth row for the last month. That just tells me that our team doesn't know who they are and doesn't know where we're going. That's all that tells me. Because it's not like, let me tell you, if they all sit quiet, I think it's great. But let me just tell you, even the adults get up and walk back and forth. They'll walk out and they'll walk back in with a cup of coffee. What does that tell me? That tells me our system's weak. And you know, we can't point our finger at security. I do not want our security hosting our services. Did you write that down? If they're working security, they are not greeting, they are not hosting. So, the last, I have a question for you that I need you guys to answer and send me a reply. If you were leading this team, what would you do? You might have multiple things, but I need at least one thing that if you, from your vantage point, if you were leading this team, what would you do? Everybody here has to do their job at a high level. So we need excellent habits. You know, when we just use terms like excellence, well, what's our aim? Excellence. It's arbitrary. That's fuzzy. But excellent habits, that's easy to break down. So instead of just thriving, instead of striving for excellence, let's just build a habit of excellent habits. And okay, you got it? Marching orders, can you guys do it? Are there any questions? Is there anything you can't do, anything you question? What does this mean? I'll tell you what, I think it's important if you need to get a dictionary out or you need to get a thesaurus out and find some synonyms of words so you understand it better. Man, don't just let this go. If you need to sit at lunch today or maybe when you take a break a little later on today, that you go back through these notes and you make sure this is deep-seated within you. Let me tell you, I don't want us to be a staff anymore. I want us to be a team. And I might slip and call us a staff again, but I just think that, I don't know, I'm just tired of our labels. And I'll tell you why, because I believe these interns are already like there's leadership in them that's ready to burst. So let's develop them as leaders. And I'll tell you, it doesn't matter where you start. Anybody in this room can be a leader of 10. And that may be where we start.